Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Okay, Pete, welcome back. How are you today?
I am very well, Ethan. How are you?
Everything is great. Usually, you and I are going through and discussing specific episodes or a season in general or a film. But today, we're, I think, going to zoom out and take a broader view.
Yeah, I think this is especially relevant because, you know, as our fans and listeners will know, every quarter and every year we provide a state of the union, as it were, to give you a review of the streaming platforms because there are so many of them. So we give you our views on whether, you know, which platform we think is provides you the most value for money at the moment versus having any platforms at all. And, you know, it gives everyone a better idea. I think it's really important because because there are so many out there now, it gives everyone an opportunity to say, hey, look, I can't afford to have 20 different streaming platforms. Maybe I can only have one. Maybe I can only have two, whatever that final number is. Yeah. So that's why I think our rating system is very important because it gives a little bit of practical context as to which platform is most appropriate for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, if we're just looking at the world in general, you know, when you and I were growing up, I remember like in the US, there were like 3 network channels. You know, there's ABC, CBS, NBC, and then there was like something else and maybe something else that was kind of like a little bit fuzzy, you know? Then everything exploded to cable. And then everything exploded to satellite. And now, just between you and me, I think we each have Netflix. We each have Apple TV Plus. We each have Paramount Plus. We each have Disney, HBO Max, Disney Plus. Plus is very popular. And Amazon Prime. I mean, am I missing anything? Am I missing Hulu? Am I missing?
So there are some smaller that are, I think, more US-centric ones, which are like, you know, Hulu or Peacock, which is effectively...
Oh, I have Peacock.
Yeah, which is effectively your standard cable TV, but they've said, okay, we're going to just stream everything, right? So that's where Hulu originally came out. Peacock is there. And then, of course, now, just last week, Warner Brothers completed its merger with Discovery.
What?
So now, if you have HBO Max, I think you also get Discovery Plus or something like that. There's some...
Stop it with the pluses, by the way.
This whole... it confuses everyone. Oh, right. AMC Plus is there. So there's a lot of different platforms out there. Some of them are very niche. Some of them are very niche, and some of them are also very small, or some of them are basically just cable TV in disguise as a platform.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we can be open with our listeners. You and I are not normal. We don't have kids. You know, we have a lot
that we know of.
We have a lot of disposable time, you know, probably more than a lot of other folks. And, you know, watching entertainment, we can say, is our passion, right? So I would not expect, or I should say, apart from you, I don't know anybody who has 6 platforms. I know, you know, people have 1 or 2, and I know people that, you know, watch a bunch of stuff on YouTube or cinema or otherwise, but no one else that I know of, you know, has 6 like we do, right? So, I mean, there's I think more than money. I mean, they are expensive if you're going to have 6, but I don't think it's like people don't have enough money. I think it's because you just can't possibly utilize all 6. So if you're only able to kind of watch shows on 2, why are you paying, you know, for 4? It's just wasted money. So I don't think it's necessarily the cost. I think it's the ability to get any value from them if you just have like a lack of time, right? And for that reason, I think people are what brought this all on is that we read an article where people are basically downsizing and saying, look, I don't need so many. Time to choose which one or two I need. Cut out the rest because I'm not using it.
Right. So let's talk about this article, right? So you sent me 2 days ago or last night, actually, you sent me an article that said, hey,
what's the title? Just read the title. Which is so
it's quite almost apocalyptic in listening to it, right? Right.
Yeah.
In hearing it. So the title of the article is UK households cancel streaming subscriptions in record numbers as inflation forces cutbacks.
Oh, that's not the one I've got. The one I've got says Netflix is bleeding subscribers.
Right. So, okay. And that was the second article.
Oh, that's the subheading.
I can't remember which you sent first or the other, but the second one was Netflix is bleeding subscribers for the first time in over a decade, and it's expected to lose another 2 million subscribers in coming months.
So first, this is a little bit of a hatchet job, right? Like this is not, I mean, this is on, I found this on, I mean, I'm looking at Yahoo Finance for this, which with all my...
I'm looking at Business Insider.
So I've got it on Yahoo Finance from, and then it's like from Business Insider, right? But
okay, I see.
But in any case, I mean, this is a little bit of clickbait. You know, Netflix is bleeding subscribers, losing 2 million. We don't put that into context in terms of percentages or something, but the implication is clear, which is folks are starting to say, look, I've tried all these different subscription services because of this big show or this big show. It's time to decide which one or more I need and cut the fat, right? Yep.
Yeah, and I know you said that it may not necessarily be about money, and I don't think that it is on average for a few places, but I think that does play into it because, for example, in the UK, inflation is running rampant at the moment. I know that's true in the US as well, and when you think about it, you're talking about $7 a month or £8 a month or whatever, right? Like a cost of 2 coffees at Starbucks or something like that, right? But even when you're talking about, inflation going up to 10% or more in some places, it starts adding up, right? When you're talking about 3 subscription platforms at £10 a month each, you're talking about £30 a month, you're talking about nearly nearly $500 worth a year, that quickly starts adding up.
You know how it happens for me? It happens for me that I obviously get a credit card bill, every month, and I see it, and I'm suddenly like, wait a second, I'm still being charged $10 or £10 for that. I haven't used that in like 2 months, and I cancel it on the spot. It's not because I get to the end of the month, I'm like, I've got no money left. What should I cancel? For me, I don't want to say it's not about money, but I don't think it's about people meeting their budget. I think it's about they're like, hey, why is my credit card bill so high? They look at it and they say, well, shit, why am I paying for this? I haven't used this in 2 months. Easy to get rid of, And they say, okay, it's time to like cut back on things.
No, and I agree with you. I'll give you a very prime example of that. Yeah. So as a part of in the UK, we have British Telecom as our main landline providers, right? Yeah. For our telephones and broadband. So what I didn't realize is that we had somehow through some bundle signed up years ago for BT Sport. Right. And I'm talking about literally years ago because, British Telecom launched their own TV sports network. Yeah. Right. And they gave it to you as a bundle, and as with all bundles, they're like, the first 6 months are either free or for like a discounted price of like $1 a month or something like that. So you're just like, all right, I'll have what does it matter? It doesn't, when you're renewing your contract, you absentmindedly think about it, and you're like, okay, well, that's only like $12 for the year, so it's not a big deal. And then I literally looked at the bill, I'm not joking, almost exactly a month ago, because we canceled it in the middle of March, and I'm just like, wait a minute. Why am I paying £55 a month for high definition sports on a network that I didn't even know I had? Which is exactly what you're saying, right?
You can watch the Los Angeles Lakers winning time.
But that's the thing is I can't because it's only football in Europe.
Oh, even less. Yeah.
So like it ties along exactly with what you're saying
Yep.
is, wait a minute, why am I paying £250 a month or whatever
Yep.
the number was, or a quarter or whatever it was, and then drilling down and thinking, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
I'm saving nearly £600, which is like almost $1,000 a year by just paying attention to what I'm spending, right? And that's effectively what I think a lot of people are doing now because of things like inflation being rampant and, a lot of the geopolitical reasons. So you're just starting to think, okay, whether I can afford it or not is the first question. But then the second question, which I think is equally valid and equally important, like you said, is this something I need? How do I justify spending money on it?
Yeah. I mean,
right?
Yeah. So I have to say, when I look at all these different platforms, the majority of them have like their calling card, right? So like, if I'd say Netflix, what do you think is a calling card of Netflix? Where is Netflix like trying to reel you in? Like when you think of Netflix, is it the variety? Is it their bespoke movies? Like,
I'll be very, very, very honest with you. At the moment, Netflix, for me personally, when I think of Netflix, I think of it for one of two reasons. One, I need something on in the background when I'm in the middle of mindless work and I just want to have a show on in the background. So, like what we were saying, the queue fillers, right? And when I first got Netflix, I think I was telling you on this show, I was telling you that the reason I got Netflix was for its stand-up specials, right?
Yeah,
because
did.
Netflix
Cobra.
did for stand-up. Yeah, exactly, right? And I am no longer watching stand-up specials on Netflix because they're not really super focused on that anymore like they were. They're not super aggressive on it anymore.
Yeah.
And so now you're just like, I have Netflix, but for what? So for me, the only reason I keep it is because we have the Netflix family plan. And the Netflix, and my mom loves watching, like Bollywood movies and Indian movies and Indian TV series. And from what I understand from her, Netflix is very good for that.
I think so. I would say
we keep it for that.
I think you hit on what I think is the benefit of Netflix. For me, Netflix has the largest. This is just by assumption. I have no numbers. I think Netflix has the largest catalog. That if you're looking through Netflix, you can maybe not find that one show that you're dying to see, but there's enough new content and old content, enough variety of content that you can find something to eat your time and be reasonably satisfied. Especially, as you mentioned, if you're a family, it's got a little bit of something for everyone. If I'm going down the list, let's start with all the things that are plus as a suffix. What is Apple TV Plus giving you? It's got original
foundation.
It's got original content. It's got original content, right?
Yes. I think Apple TV Plus right now is scratching the itch for original content that's very up my alley, as it were.
Yeah. But apart from its original content, I don't find there's a lot of other things on that platform, but then you have to pay for them. Kind of like a la carte.
You either have to pay for them or I'm just not interested.
Yeah. So I have to say, I don't think, and you know what? I'm looking at what we scored last quarter, right?
Yep.
And we watched 2 shows. Last year we watched 3 shows on Netflix. This year already 2 on Netflix. Last year we saw 2 on Apple TV Plus. This year none on Apple TV Plus. Although I think you've been watching.
I've been watching a few, and there are still more to come.
Yeah.
In general, I think I've also become a little spoiled by Netflix, which used to release everything at once so you could kind of binge it.
Yeah.
So I've been holding myself off, like, Star Trek, Picard. I'm dying to see season 2, but I'm waiting for another few weeks when it's finally all done so that I can kind of watch it in one weekend. The same goes for Apple TV's got a couple of TV shows out that I really want to watch now, like Slow Horses with Gary Oldman.
Oh, yeah.
There's also the same applies for Tokyo Vice on HBO Max. So there's a couple of shows where I've done that. So Better Call Saul just started.
Oh,
on Netflix,
yes.
Season 6.
Yes. We have to do that.
So I just watched the first episode. They released the first 2, but then they're going to now go back to their weekly schedule, release schedule.
Yep.
I now regret having seen episodes 1 and 2, not because they were bad, but because now I know that I'll have to wait every week to watch it.
So let's say that you're starting your own streaming service. Let's call it Pete TV Plus.
Okay.
Are you, is
Plus.
Pete TV Plus going to release the whole episode so that someone can binge watch it? Or are you going to do this slow drip torture where you do it once a week? What's your release strategy?
I think I release it all in one go. I think look, as a business, I think it makes more sense to release it all weekly. But like if, as a guy who's, Pete Plus is all about servicing its fans and it's all about just dropping everything at once.
He's a giver.
He's
a giver. All right. No suspense. You're just dropping it all at once. All right. I got it. Okay. So that's Apple TV Plus. What about Paramount Plus? You've got Paramount Plus, right?
Paramount Plus, yes. But so, I will caveat this right now. I think we might have made a mistake.
Oh.
We have been watching Yellowstone, and I had assumed that it was a part of Paramount Plus, but Yellowstone isn't a part of Paramount Plus.
No
it's
way.
made by Paramount, but it doesn't show on Paramount Plus. It shows on Paramount TV channel. And I had confused the two, right? And so interestingly enough, Yellowstone is one of the only Paramount shows that's not actually on Paramount Plus because it has some streaming deal with, I think it's with Peacock, or it might be with Hulu in place already. Right. So even though I saw it on Hulu, I think we have been accrediting it to Paramount Plus. Maybe, on a corporate level, correct, but on a practical level, incorrect to do so.
Well, I think we need to do the evaluations on a practical level because we're telling people what to subscribe to, right?
Yes, I agree. And the same will apply, by the way, for Better Call Saul because this is an AMC product. It's showing on AMC Plus. But for example, you're in Dubai, I'm in London. It streams on Netflix here on a weekly basis. It doesn't stream on AMC Plus because AMC Plus isn't available in the UK. Right? Paramount Plus isn't available in the UK without the use of, VPNs and things like that.
It's a complicated org chart. Okay.
It is. It's a little complicated. So
what are we watching on Paramount Plus? Are we watching anything on Paramount Plus?
I'm sure we must be, right? Maybe not, actually.
The Offer?
Maybe not.
You said The Offer.
Well, Halo. We'll be watching. We're watching Halo, obviously, but and The Offer, which I think is a movie, not a show. That's a mistake on my part. Which is a movie about the making of The Godfather.
Oh,
and I believe that's also going to be on Paramount.
So it's
Plus,
only Halo.
Yeah, in terms of shows, right now it's really only Halo. That's not to say that won't change, but on my current landscape, that's the only show I can think of.
I got Paramount Plus, and I can't even tell you why I got it. And I don't say that disparagingly to Paramount. I just say that honestly, I really don't know. I cannot remember why I got it. I think I may have got it for live sports somehow. There was something. I'm looking at what they've got.
Or it could have been a bundle.
I kind of feel like Halo, Picard, Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek
and
Next
for me,
Generation.
All of Star Trek is on Amazon Prime.
SEAL Team. No, SEAL Team. Yeah. My mom got it for SEAL Team. Thank you, Mom.
Okay. So I think that ultimately,
I don't know how that makes sense, but that's true, actually.
All right. So let's take a step back, right? So the whole point of why we're having this discussion is because
Thank you for getting us on track. Yeah, you're right.
No problem. So the frank reality is that streamers are going to now face problems. Whether they're already facing problems or they're about to, it's going to happen and it's going to hit them like a ton of bricks, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were facing unprecedented good times the last 2+ years because of the pandemic. Yeah. Everyone was home.
You're right.
The cinema wasn't a thing.
Yes.
Right? It was the Peloton effect,
yes.
Right? The only reason Peloton was doing so well over the last 2 years was because, hey, the gyms were closed. There was no way to actually interact.
Yep.
That is no longer the case. More and more countries are more and more cities are lifting the mask mandates, are lifting the requirements to work from home.
And it's summer. It's summer.
It's
no matter
summertime.
where you are, I don't know about Australia, but no matter where you are, it's
you
summer,
don't want to be
right?
sitting at home, right?
Yes.
You wanna, like, even today, to be very honest, like, it's a really nice, and for London, it's rare to have sunny, warm days. It's a nice, warm day right now.
You're inside podcasting.
And we're inside. The sacrifices that we're willing to make for you, listeners. Right? I could be working on my tan right now.
We deliberately scheduled this during peak sunlight hours for you, Pete.
I know. So you know, when I agree with you that
yeah.
article
Now is when
headlines are
there's going to
maybe
be a
a little
lot of
misleading.
subscriber loss. A lot of subscriber
Yes.
loss.
But that 200,000 doesn't seem like a lot, because I think Netflix has something like 220 million or 290 million subscribers.
Yeah.
You know, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it is what I believe will be the first salvo in a growing trend, right?
Yeah.
I think you're seeing that prices are going up. You're seeing that inflation has increased above income raises. And you're seeing a huge number of platforms, right? So you have an enormous competitive landscape, right?
Yeah.
I remember there was that one TV show that's launched its own streaming service just for the TV show, right?
What show
So,
is that?
Taskmaster.
Oh,
So
yeah. You told me
they've
that.
said that, yeah. So it's getting to the point where you and I could probably release a streaming platform if we had content for it.
Do
right?
we?
And that's the point, is that
Yeah.
it's gotten to the point. It's almost like cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Everybody and their mother can launch their own with very little effort, right? And at relatively low cost for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so what's happening is that it's diluting the pool, because, you know, there's only 168 hours in a week. Half of that you're either working or sleeping. So, you know, of that time that you have entertainment, there's only so many hours you can dedicate to watching TV.
Yeah.
And if you have to split that over 25 different platforms, it's very hard to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, we had like this unprecedented expansion phase, right? Let's talk about this in corporate terms, right? The last 10 years has been more or less like, you know, how the early internet companies were of the 2000s and the late 90s.
Yeah.
Pre-bust bubble, right? Where you saw a bunch of these streaming platforms have just been coming out of the woodwork, right? And so now I think what's going to happen in the next maybe 6 months, maybe a year, I don't know. I imagine that there has to be some kind of contraction phase, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just look at this, all right? Listen to this and tell me what you think. Crunchyroll, Quibi, Retro Crush, Criterion, Shudder, Mubi, IndieFlix, Brown Sugar, Urban Movie Channel, Crackle, Tubi, Vudu, Curiosity Stream, Documentary Plus, Canopy, Hayu, Sling, Next Up, Fubo. I kid you not, those are all real streaming platforms.
I have Sling.
Fine. The rest of them sound like someone has grabbed a bunch of Scrabble tiles from a bag, laid them out in a random assortment, and says, this is my streaming platform.
This is a startup that is a platform for something. Yes, I agree. They all sound like Silicon Valley startups.
It's really crazy, right? And I get it. It's because it's almost like the democratization of content, right? Is I have this indie movie. I can't sell it to Apple. I can't sell it to Hollywood. I can't sell it to Sony or Disney. So I'll sell it to this random small streaming platform that's willing to buy it and show it, because their network is all about only indie movies, right?
Yeah.
It's a very niche product.
Yeah.
Or I have an anime, or I have a manga, or I have a comedy, or I have a predominantly people of color based show, something like that, right?
Can I tell you what scares me? Pete, can I tell you what scares me?
Yeah.
What scares me is that as things become more competitive, generally the way that companies meet competition is not to create higher quality. It's to start to cut corners. So you see more reality shows and, as you mentioned, more like comedic stand-up shows, things that are like relatively inexpensive to make, or they do what Netflix does. Let's get 5 A-list people, jam them in all one movie that doesn't really have a good plot or good writing, but because all 5 of these people are in it, everyone's going to want to watch it and we'll make a bunch of money. And I'm worried that quality is going to go down, and it's going to be harder and harder to find someone that takes a flyer on something like Game of Thrones, for example, something like The Handmaid's Tale, right? That had to go to Hulu. Something like The Expanse, remember, which was on Sci-Fi, and these good shows, no one's going to want to take a flyer on because it's going to be too risky, too much cost. And instead they'll say, wait, let's put a bunch of sexy people on an island and call it, Paradise, whatever, Romance Island, whatever that show is, right?
Sure.
And we're just going to go downhill because the quality is not going to be there. That's what worries me. It's not so much the competition. It's not even the rising cost. It's, I'm not going to be able to find good quality, there's a lot of ors in this hypothetical. We're just going to go to Disney and to Amazon, and it's going to be MCU, Warner, and all the different universes again and again and again without anything new or interesting or exotic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm scared of.
I think that Apple really was the only one that said, hey, look, we're going to focus on content and quality content so far. And I'm not saying that the others haven't. I'm not saying that, other companies are, purposefully putting out turds there. My intent is to say that Apple went out and said, we're not interested in producing the next MCU style movie. No. We're not interested in making a new universe. Let's just make really good TV shows. Let's just make a really good drama movie, right? And if that means going to Tom Hanks and giving him $200 million to make 5 movies that cost next to nothing, let's do that, right? We'll get some good creative content out of that.
Can I say though, I admire what Apple is doing. I want them to continue it, but I find Apple is doing, as you mentioned, a lot of dramas, and there's a time and a place for a drama. And those dramas, for me, are a little bit slow moving on Apple.
Yeah, and a little heavy.
Yeah, everything on Apple is almost, I don't want to say it's too art housey. It's so dramatic and serious that it is a little bit slow. Yeah. I would say Amazon, to be honest, I feel like when The Boys comes out, again for Amazon, I think you and I will spend more time on Amazon Prime. Right now, I haven't gone to Amazon Prime in ages.
In months, yeah.
Months. I don't even know what's there anymore. There may be some pretty good stuff.
I think what we're also going to start to see is companies like Apple realize that. And so, look, Apple was very good. They said that there's 2 ways to really enter this streaming platform, right? Is you can either buy content that's already existed, which is Netflix's model, right? Which was Netflix's model for many years until they started making their own productions.
Yep.
Right? Or we can say we're going to make our own platform, and it'll be a longer journey, but it'll be a more fruitful journey, right?
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is you're going to start to see a shift in Apple's mindset to go towards the Netflix model, where they're going to say, hey, listen, we need to start ramping up that more content, because what you've said is a very good point, right? Is that outside of drama, there's very little to offer on Apple. Mm-hmm. And we're, of course, by the way, everyone, we're speaking in generalizations, right? There are certainly comedies on there. There certainly are other shows on there. I'm not dismissing any of that. I'm just speaking in general and not in specific, right? Yeah. So, for example, I saw After Party, which I on Apple TV. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very nice, great, unique twist on a whodunit. I've recommended that Ethan watch it as well when he has a chance.
And Ethan listened, although he didn't watch it, but he did listen.
But he's got it on his list now. So it's not to say that it's not there. He does.
The third person.
But I think what Apple is going to do is going to say, hey, look, we're a $2.8 trillion company. It's not like we're hurting for cash. Let's go out and buy either a studio or let's go out and buy another platform, for example. I think now, because we're going to start to see a contraction, and in that contraction, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see a consolidation. I think you're going to see massive consolidation because there are too many platforms out there that are so niche and have really little to no hope of gaining attraction outside of the very small percent of the population that's watching them, that as a business, it would make sense for Apple or for Amazon or for Netflix to go and say, hey, you know what? We don't really have a children's segment, right? So why don't we go out and buy I'm being specious here. Let's go out and buy Cartoon Network, or let's go out and buy Crunchyroll. Let's go out and buy a platform or a streaming network that's focused on children's shows. Or, in the case of maybe, again, stand-up. We don't have many stand-up shows. Why don't we sign up 5-10 comedians to do 1-hour specials or for 30-minute specials on our platform? I think that's what we're going to start to see over the next, not 6 months, maybe this I think is a longer process, but probably over the next 2 years, because once the values of these companies tank, right? And it won't take much. Netflix dropped 200,000 subscribers, fell 35% in day trading yesterday.
Yeah.
Year to date, Netflix is down like nearly 50%. Right? So, that's not insignificant.
Yeah. So Pete,
they expect it to get worse.
So Pete, let's say I'm just going to give you a job. You're working for Paramount Plus right now. Actually, I'm going to change it. I'm going to put Netflix because it's agnostic to universes. If you're working for Netflix, are you going out and are you buying some, are you aggregating some smaller streaming companies to try to get their content? Or are you going out and saying, all right, Kevin Hart, I need you to do let's say a 3 stand-up special comedy. All right, Rock and, someone else. Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. I'm putting you guys together in this blockbuster, action movie. Are you doing that? Are you getting the names and locking them in? Or are, Tom Hanks with Apple TV Plus? Or are you saying, I'm just going to go out and get more indie content and start to source some better stuff? How do you do it?
If I'm Netflix, I would say is on the far end of the scale. It's matured. So Netflix now, I think, continues on its trajectory, which is to say, we are a content creator. We're not a content aggregator at this stage.
Yeah.
So for me, I think Netflix, for example, let's say Crunchyroll costs, argument's sake, $100 million.
What is Crunchyroll?
Okay? Crunchyroll is a streaming platform which is all about animated movies, anime specifically, Japanese anime stuff.
Crunchyroll.
Right? So let's say that Crunchyroll is up for sale and Netflix is able to acquire it for $100 million, as an example. I think that because Netflix has already got animated movies on their platform, it's already got a dedicated kids section, it's already got adult, and by adult animated I don't mean graphic.
We know what you mean. We know what you mean, Pete.
I mean shows that are,
you mean lowercase a. You mean lowercase a.
Exactly, right? For the adult demographic, right?
Over 18.
Right. Rated R versus rated NC-17. Let's put it that way.
Is Crunchyroll with a K or a C?
I think with a C. So I think, when you're looking at Netflix, I think that if you tell me, all right, Pete, here's $100 million check. Who are you making it out to? Are you making it out to Crunchyroll, or are you making out to these 5 A-list stars to make a movie? I think I'm going to give it to the 5 A-list stars.
No.
I want to make another bubble. I
think you're right. I have to say, I think you're right. Because again, right now, I think what is keeping people or drawing them in are those big names, right? And exactly. I think especially if you're choosing one platform, I think for you and me, where we've got to divide our time, we're probably looking less towards the big names and more towards original, unique content. For me, Expanse, Foundation. These were new, intellectual properties. There was nothing about them previously, and we really got into them. Those are the things that probably you and I enjoy more because we have more time and it's easier for us to like really get into them. Whereas if you're really, not that we don't work, but I mean, someone that is working and juggling parenting and all those other things, to the extent that they get 2 hours on a Friday night, they're like, you know what? I'm not really interested in the hit or miss of Foundation or Expanse, right? Unless they've listened to our podcast and they've got our recommendation. They're like, I'm just going for the safe bet. Give me Adam Sandler. I just need to know that my 2 hours isn't wasted on something so incomprehensible that I'm going to regret because I've only got 2 hours, right?
Exactly. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I nailed it. This is the problem that we have with Halo, for example, right? It's a known quantity.
Yes.
Amongst others, but it's a known quantity. But even after 5 episodes, we're struggling to get into the show. And that's you and me who have time, who have the patience and the willingness.
Dude, I didn't even hit that nail on the head. I teed it up and you hit it on the head because that's exactly right. Halo's got it made. It's that thing that the dad, right? 38 years old, working this long week, puts the kids to bed.
It in college when he played it when he was a college bachelor.
He's like,
his
it's Friday.
His 2-year-old has gone to bed now.
It's 9:30. My wife just had 2 glasses of wine. She's down for the count. I've got 2 hours in my life. I'm going to get a beer. I'm going to eat that frozen pizza and I'm going to watch Halo. And he watches Halo and he's like, what the hell is this? This is nonsense. Turn it off and
put back on Adam Sandler's Hubie Halloween. It's a new content, but I know Adam Sandler. And even if it's a terrible movie, hey, guess what? I know what I'm signing up for.
And I think that's why Halo is borderline felony, is that it's got it made. It just needs to be good. It just needs to be, or maybe when I say good, I mean like decent, right?
Yeah, exactly. Look, none of us are asking for every show to be an Oscar or Emmy nominated movie, right? There are times where you just want to see crap. I don't walk into a Fast and the Furious screening because I'm expecting to see Vin Diesel's Oscar nominated performance. I go in there because I want to see fast cars, beautiful women, and crazy explosions. That's it. I'm not interested in seeing anything else. That's why, for me, Fast and the Furious is a successful franchise, because it doesn't play itself as anything more than that, right? Yeah. It doesn't try to be anything more.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's true. I mean, like, when everything is teed up for you, you've just got to like hit it straight down the fairway. And I feel like Halo is not doing that, which is why you and I are so frustrated. It's got everything going for it. The brand, the intellectual property, the storyline, everything is right there. All you got to do is, just take what's given to you. And it's not doing that, whereas, I think something like Foundation or Expanse, which are so good. What else have we watched recently that we just like fell in love with? Like some of those take a little bit. Guardians of Justice, for example, on Netflix. For me, that's a huge fail. And it's a fail because if you've got only 2 hours a week, you don't have time to try to get into the mindset of that show. Whereas Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime, kind of like, okay, I can kind of get into that. It's okay, right? Peacemaker on HBO Max, I thought knocked it out of the park. Right. I thought Peacemaker, that's what Halo should be. That's a known intellectual property. Okay, Peacemaker was in movies, right? He was in Suicide Squad 1 and 2. But they took that, they're like, hey, let's just make it good. Everyone should flock to that. So for me, HBO Max is really, when I'm looking at our rankings again, HBO Max is really, really some good value based on, what did we give that? We give it 8 points. Yeah, last year we watched 2 shows. We gave it 14 points. Yeah, good ratings on HBO Max.
Let's kind of slide our way back to the main topic, right?
Thank you.
So I think, no problem. So I think these are the reasons why these streaming platforms are in trouble at the moment. Don't be surprised if all of a sudden you hear that, Amazon is acquiring X platform, or if Netflix is, or even Paramount is acquiring Y platform, because they're just like, listen, we can't only be known for the platform with Halo and Yellowstone and a few other shows on TV that people outside of America will hardly know, right? And the reason I say that is because Paramount isn't available internationally. So of course the Star Trek franchise would be a huge hit for Paramount, but I don't associate that with Paramount Plus. I associate that for me with Amazon, right? Because internationally, I think Amazon is the one who's got the rights to distribute it.
Yeah.
So I think that we're going to see some consolidation. And in terms of solutions, I mean, this is a typical business 101 or econ 101. You have to either increase your revenues, which means increasing your prices, or cutting your costs.
Or increase in subscribers. Right?
Correct. Or increase in subscribers, right? And so you can't cut costs, because cutting costs on this means cutting content, which is, you can't, because content is the basis of competition in this battlefield.
Since I promoted you to be CEO of Netflix.
Okay.
Can I make as an intern, a naive intern, right? Who's just happy to be here. Can I make my pitch to you as a grizzled veteran?
All right, let's do it.
If you remember cell phones, I mean, we all have cell phones, but remember there were like so many cell phone companies, right? It was so hard to understand what was what. And then cell phone companies started to say, hey, subscribe to us for a year. We'll give you a free cell phone, right?
Yes.
Why doesn't Netflix, this is my pitch, you're either going to fire me or promote me. Why doesn't Netflix say, hey, we'll give you a Sony television, subscribe to us for 2 years. Boom. Am I hired?
That's really interesting, because now what you're saying is you're transitioning it to like almost like a hardware play, right?
Why? I mean, isn't that you want people locked in? Give them something to lock them in. TVs are cheap as chips.
Right? So if you're spending $350 on a 42-inch plasma screen, right? Or LCD screen, right? And if you buy it from Best Buy, they'll throw in a 2-year subscription to Netflix, which would otherwise cost you, for example, $180.
Yep.
Right? Or $360 for 2 years, or whatever the number is going to be. Okay, fine. I like the idea.
Am I onto something?
How are we paying for it?
I mean, isn't this the promotion though? I mean, I guess there's a tie-up. Just like there's a tie-up between Verizon and Apple, then there's got to be a tie-up between, like, if it's Best Buy or
it's
actually,
you
know what? It should be Amazon. It should be Amazon would kill it if it offered.
Amazon could absolutely nail it, right? Because if Amazon said, hey, if you buy a Sony Plasma TV,
we're giving you 1 year
Prime for free, right?
Yep.
Because you're already seeing that.
Yes.
Like I know in Dubai, for example, if I take a new telephone subscription with Do, they're throwing in Prime free with that, for example.
Yep.
Right?
And then Walmart is going to tie up, or if you're in the UK, Tesco, right, is going to tie up with Netflix.
Right. Right. So it's really interesting, because that's the other thing is, so that was one of my solutions as well.
Yeah.
Was that you have to do it. You have to get some kind of bundling going on, right?
Yeah.
So Amazon, for example, Amazon Prime has bundled with itself, for example.
Right.
If you take an Amazon Prime subscription, you automatically get Amazon Prime Video.
Exactly.
You don't need to buy that separately. So it's self-bundled. And Amazon has its own advantage, because Amazon Prime, the value of the subscription. So the use of the subscription to Amazon Prime itself is so valuable.
Yeah.
That, you're happy to get Amazon Prime Video as a thing, but even if you didn't, it would still be valuable for you to have that, right?
Yeah.
So for Amazon, it makes sense to bundle those two together. It's very cheap.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of thinking about this. I thought for Apple, for example, because Apple is very much on a kick for really high quality content, which is like Oscar-worthy-esque content. I thought Apple could buy Criterion and indie flicks.
Oh.
Right?
What's Criterion?
So you remember when DVDs first came out, they launched the Criterion collection?
I want to say yes.
It was like a bunch of these movies and DVDs that were only like, they were supposed to be exemplar films.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So these films were supposed to be like, not just technically, but like in terms of critically, these are like some of the best movies ever around the world.
Yes.
Not limited to Hollywood. So you had like a bunch of like Kurosawa films from Japan. You had like some Scorsese films from the US.
Yeah.
These are like the films that many critics and fans consider like the best of the best of the best movies on the planet. Right? Oh. And so they had what was the Criterion collection. And so if you bought, like if the average DVD cost $10, a Criterion movie collection DVD maybe cost like $30 or $40 because it was remastered to the highest of standard with the highest of video and audio. And then they gave you a bunch of extras and all these kinds of things. It was literally like the caviar of movies. Right. So I remember like it was when a new Criterion collection movie was announced, I was scrambling to buy it when I used to collect DVDs because I was just like, it was amazing.
But I'm looking at criterion.com, but a lot of these are old, like what you'd say classics, right?
Oh, yeah. So almost all of these are classics. They have movies that are also from...
They're just remastered to be better sound, better lighting.
Everything that they can do, right? So that's exactly it. In terms of quality of films, and I mean by quality, by critical quality and acclaim, I feel like this is right up Apple's street, right? I feel like that's exactly what Apple's been trying to do, which is to say, hey, we are the highbrow version of online streaming platforms.
I mean, do you think that Apple is not... I mean, I'm not sure where Apple TV Plus ranks in terms of all the streaming options, but do you think that given the proliferation of Apple devices that they're not really meeting their
yes,
right?
I know exactly what I'm trying to say, implying, and I agree with you. I think there's a lot
like their potential. They're not hitting their potential.
The only reason is because Apple, I don't think, is a company that would do bundling. Because it would go counter to their idea of us being a very exclusive, fashion-forward company, right? Yeah. Because it would seem like a quote-unquote cheap tactic to say, hey, for every Apple TV device you buy, you also get a year's subscription to Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
Or for every Apple Watch you buy, you get $5 off of your Apple TV subscription or something like that.
Oh, so you know what? We may have gotten Amazon, though, I don't think so, but into monopoly problems then if they're going to bundle with each other, right? I think there's enough competition that's probably not a monopoly issue. Like, remember Microsoft Windows and Internet Explorer, but
right.
It's a consideration if they bundle with each other.
Right. But again, that is those are the teething pains you see when there's an industry going into contraction, right?
True.
That's exactly right. It's what you're saying with Microsoft and Internet Explorer is exactly the same thing. At that time, there were so many different browsers, and then it became Internet Explorer versus Opera versus Netscape Navigator.
Oh, Netscape.
You remember? It all consolidated.
Where did Netscape go?
Exactly.
Yeah. I like the idea. I mean, I agree. I think we need more bundling. The scary thing is for consumers, right? Which is you really don't want to get locked into any of these subscriptions, you know? I mean, again, once you take, let's say 2, you've got Netflix, you've got Paramount Plus, right? Now something new comes out on Amazon. You're like, well, look, I've already got 2. Do I need a third? You know, and it's really tough once you're locked into those 2, to swap around. The alternative to that is there's a lot of a la carte, which you kind of see from Apple now, which is, hey, you want the show? It's $24, right? $2 an episode, 12 episodes, buy it. And I'm always like, do I really want to spend $24 just for one show? I could be subscribed.
So that's the kind of that's the kind of model that Amazon kind of offers with its Prime, right? Because not everything on Amazon Prime Video is free.
Yeah.
And the things that aren't, you're able to rent them or buy them outright as you wish, right? The premium video on demand per se, as it's so called, right? I think the problem is that when you have that option, you're steering dangerously close to the old model of cable TV, right? Yeah. When you sign up for cable TV here, as I'm sure it is everywhere, they give you, okay, well, tier 1, these are the 56 basic channels you get. Tier 2, you get those 56 plus you get a choice of one of these 12 movie channels and sports channels. Tier 3, you get all of the above plus access to this. That you get dangerously close to that. And then if that's the case, then why was there a movement of me to cut my cord if all I'm doing is tying up with virtual cords everywhere else?
Look, I think you're right. And if you don't mind me blowing the films and stuff horn, to be honest, it's one of the reasons that our rating system really makes sense. And it's kind of built by us as fans, which is, hey, it doesn't really make sense to go show by show what is good, what is bad. I mean, we need to do that as well, but we also need to put it into context, which is what platform is giving you not the best bang for the buck, because that seems like it's based on cost, but what has the best stuff, Where can
bang
you go?
For your hour for let's put it that way.
That's exactly right. Where can you go and watch 5 different good shows versus where can you go and only watch that one really good show?
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's true. A good friend of mine, a colleague of mine and a good friend, he has Disney Plus. He's got 2 young children. It makes sense. He's a big Star Wars fan. He's an MCU fan. So in terms of content, it makes total sense for him. But then he's also, like you and me, a huge sci-fi guy. Oh. He loves, things like The Expanse and shows like that. Yeah. I suggested he watch For All Mankind or Foundation. And he said, I don't have Apple TV Plus and I'm not going to get Apple TV Plus for one show or for 2 shows. I can't justify spending £60 or £70 a year on 2 shows, right?
Yeah.
And then he said, and then on top of that, my summer in terms of TV watching is planned out because, Disney's got Mandalorian, then it's got Obi-Wan, then it's got Moon Knight, then it's got Ms. Marvel. Yeah. I'm covered for the next 8 shows for the next 8 months.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So he said that even if it weren't about the £70, I don't, what am I going to do? I'm not going to watch 6 episodes of Moon Knight followed by 8 episodes of For All Mankind in a row. I don't have the time to do that.
Let me say something, though. Counterpoint to that is I think it's much better to spend the money to get quality shows that you love versus, I'm sorry to pile on Netflix. For me, Netflix is cost effective. But everything on there is just kind of, that was all right. I liked Vikings. I liked, this. But you're not like, that was really the best hour and a half of my Friday night. And I think if you're really, really limited on time and you're like, look, I've got from 9:30 to 11 this Friday night. That's me time. I would personally prefer to spend the money and watch something that you're like, that was awesome, rather than just kind of like shuffle through a couple different things and you said, well, all right, I watched some Netflix, I think that's where the ratings come in, where it helps you really make that tough call.
Yeah, I think, it's gotten to the point where Netflix has kind of become like Costco to Apple TV's Trader Joe's. Or or Toyota to versus Mercedes, which is to say, hey, they both do the same thing, and you can effectively get the same service from both of them. One of them is just a little bit more quality than the other.
Yeah. Okay, you know what we should do though, Pete. It's not really our fault, but we should tidy up our reviews for the last couple of weeks because we've watched a lot of stuff. I think we should tidy that up, and I think we should release that to our listeners. What do you think?
The reviews of the different shows that we've watched? Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
We can probably tweet it out so that everyone can see it on our Instagram and our Twitter and so forth.
Yeah. I'm looking for more followers, please. Good. So I think we made good headway on that as well. Obviously, the problem is pretty clear. It's not going away, but we're here for you. Help you identify what is the best platform based on our point and average score totals.
Exactly.
And our Q1 2022 awards, right? Platform of the quarter. I think that's the only award we give for the quarter, right?
We're making a lot of effort and sacrifices for you guys. It's a hard job, but someone's got to sit and watch all this TV.
Yeah. I'm usually more reclining than sitting, but neither here nor there.
Exactly.
And you're eating your mom's home cooking. So I don't think that you're really suffering either.
No, I most definitely am not.
Anyway, everybody, this was not an emergency episode, but it was a very timely episode. And therefore, we appreciate you tuning in. Join us next episode. We're back to Halo, back to Moon Knight. And Pete's man crush appearing back on the big screen. Who is it?
Good old Nicolas Cage in the unbearable weight of massive talent.
Do you think that's too many words for a movie title?
I don't care.
How many words is that?
Nicolas Cage.
The unbearable weight of
massive talent.
6 words?
6 words, yeah.
But unbearable is like a super long word.
Okay, so 6.5 words.
Right? Like Top Gun, 6 letters, right?
Yeah.
Moon Knight, Halo, yeah.
Speaking of which, I mean, I know you'll be.
That's the most Nick Cage. That's the most Nick Cage title ever, right?
Yes, it is. It really is. But I know that, just to keep your appetite whet, I've started to see more and more promos of Top Gun 2.
Stop teasing me. After so many years, I've been like the dog that's like running out, to chase the mailman whenever he hears like a horn or something, and it's not the mailman yet. So I'm prepared to wait another 3 more years so that Tom Cruise at the premiere is like octogenarian, like 90 years old, and we don't even recognize, when he did this back in 2000.
If anyone can get Tom Cruise on this podcast, we will do anything for you.
Within reason.
You will make Ethan so happy.
In very small print, within reason.
Yeah. There's a couple asterisks in there. We'll send you the fine print by mail.
Although I think for Nick Cage, I think you really want to. I don't know if it's the same caveats. You love Nick Cage. All right.
I do love Nick Cage.
All right. Unbearable Weight. Unbearable Weight is coming out this week, right?
Comes out on Friday in the UK. That's right.
All right. I'll see if it comes out on Friday. I'll watch it Friday as well, and then we'll do it Saturday. We'll do a special episode.
Perfect.
Very good. A Nick Cage episode. Pete, always a pleasure. Go watch something on a platform tonight. I know you will.
You know it. You definitely know it.
And listeners, we will catch you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.